I ended up winning that contest. I probably got like a $25 gift card. I didn't get anything that special. It's Ryan, and today I'm going to be talking about how I got into writing. So when I was in kindergarten, I entered in a writing contest, which a few of my classmates also entered. I don't really remember what the contest was for, like what organization it might have been for, but it was a writing contest, and first place you get a prize, second place you get a prize, third place you get a prize, and my mom was like, hey, do you want to enter that? You think you can win this? And I was like, okay. I ended up writing a story about a boy and I think his 4 or 5 sisters that he had. The boy had type 1. Of course, I would write that because in kindergarten, I was at the point where I was kind of aware that I had type 1. I wasn't doing it on my own. My mom did everything for me. I was in 3rd grade when I actually could do everything by myself. So I knew that I had it, but I wasn't 100% sure how it worked yet. I couldn't do everything by myself, if that makes sense. So like every time I would eat, I'd be like, okay, Mom, I want to eat something. Hey, I want to eat something. Or like, hey, I feel bad. I couldn't just do it. I couldn't give myself a shot, or I didn't. Well, back then we didn't have sugar tablets. I think I drank orange juice. My go-to thing was orange juice. Anyway, I wrote this story about this guy. He went on an adventure. The only parts that I remember is that he had a bunch of sisters and that at some point in the story they were walking next to a forest. That's all I remember because it was so long ago. Well, me being in kindergarten, I did start off trying to write down the story by myself, but of course, since it was a contest, you had to type it up, and as in kindergarten I could not type. I could read and stuff, but I couldn't type on a computer. I don't know why, because me saying that doesn't really make sense. Like, if I could read, you'd think I'd be able to use a keyboard, but I just couldn't. I didn't know how to type. So my mom had to type it for me. Also, being a little kindergartner, I did not have the best vocabulary. So my mom and I came up with this thing. So basically, our computer room, which is not actually this room, it's the next room over, so it looked a lot different back then. I would sit on the floor of the computer room back then, and not because like we didn't have any chairs. I was in kindergarten. I don't know, I was little. I liked sitting on the floor, so I'd sit on the floor, and my mom would sit like at the computer desk, and she would type whatever I would say. And some of the stuff that I said didn't make sense only because kids don't talk. Like, this happened, and then that happened, and then this happened. They kind of are just all over the place. So she would stop me, and she'd be like, okay, wait, but what happened right after? Or she would write down everything that I would say, and then she'd read it back to me and say, is this what you meant? Is this what you meant? Is that what you really meant? And she also helped me out with vocabulary. If I couldn't figure out a word that meant something, she would help me out with that, because, again, I was in kindergarten. What was I like? I didn't have the best vocabulary in the world. I ended up winning that competition. I think my my story was, it was pretty long. I remember it being pretty long, and I don't know if that's pretty long, like, as my standards now are pretty long for, like, a kindergartner. So, I mean, like, pretty long could have been 7 pages back then, but it was really long. I was really proud of it. It's still stored on my mom's computer, and I really want to read it again, but I just haven't. No particular reason. I just, like, haven't read it. So maybe if it's interesting enough, I will read it in front of the camera and see how much I've improved since then. So as I said before, I ended up winning that contest. I probably got like a $25 gift card. I didn't get anything that special, but it was kind of the start to me loving to write. After that, we had little journals that we were given in kindergarten, and in my journals, instead of doing what I was supposed to, which is probably doing some kind of work in them, I'd write stories. And we did have this assignment where we had to write something every day at some point, and I would write too much. I always had problems in school with, like, in lower grades where they give you a page, and it's not even like like college rule paper. It's those composition books where it has like a window for you to draw a picture and then it's got lines under it. So it's about maybe 3/4 of a page and then like a picture. I could never do those assignments because I would always write over the amount and you're only allowed like 1 or 2 pages. And I absolutely hated those assignments because I always wondered, why do I only have to write 1 or 2 pages? Why can't I keep going? So I figured out that I really like writing then. Since then, of course, school got really hard. Well, it didn't get hard, but it started taking up more time as homework was introduced to me. And I kind of stopped writing since I was in 5th grade. I started writing again in 5th grade, so from kindergarten to 5th grade, kind of big jump, but I started writing again in 5th grade. I did originally want to write a book in my 6th grade year, but I started it, and I don't remember what exactly came up because I was very straightforward. I was like, I'm going to write a book. I'm going to write a book, and nothing can stop me from writing a book. Something got in the way, and I don't remember what it was, but I did eventually drop that project, and it's still loaded on my computer. I started writing right when I got my laptop, so it's still on my laptop. I still use that laptop. And the laptop that I use now, which is the same one, I'm starting my other book, and I am going to finish this book this time, and I'm not stopping my book for anything. I'm a third of the way done, word-wise. I think my story will be about 90,000 words. I'm at 31,000, so doing okay. I think I'm going to finish by the end of the year with my first draft, so I want to get it published hopefully by the time that I am 16 or in the year of me being 16, which would be awesome. But I've never really stopped writing after except for the time that I had the break. I never really completely stopped writing. Writing also for me is really therapeutic. It's really calming for me. If I'm ever stressed out or anything, it's like, okay, I'm going to write another chapter in my book. Okay, I'm going to write a story. I'm going to write in my diary or something like that. If it's not writing, it's reading. If anyone ever wants to write anything, you have to read. And I just enjoy reading too, so that kind of went together. And a lot of people say that they can't write, or writing is really hard for me, or I'd never be able to write a book. Well, I honestly don't think that if writing is hard for someone, I totally understand that. Some people, it's just, if you don't like writing, don't force yourself to write unless it's for a school project, in which case you kind of have to do it. But don't force yourself to write anything else. I just really like writing, so that's why I do it. But people who just say it's hard but they really like it, writing is hard for everyone at the beginning. Like I said, for my story, I had my mom help me out with my vocabulary and putting sentences together. Granted, I was in kindergarten, but it's the same principle. If you start now and you eventually want to write a book and you've never written anything ever before, of course it's going to be really hard. But you have to just keep trying to do it and read more. If I was in kindergarten and I read every day, just random books, which I couldn't because I was in kindergarten, but if I did, starting out writing would have been so much easier because if you read a book, it's already formatted the way that you would want your book to be formatted. So if you're trying to write a book, read other books that are like the one that you want to make, because they're set up the way that you want your book to be set up, or if they're not, it will show you what not to do. If you don't like a way a book is set up, don't set your book up that way. Do it in her format, but you need to read a lot, write all the time. Anyone who writes needs a journal, a diary, I don't care what you call it. You need a book where you can write random stuff in sometimes, whenever you want to, whenever you need to, just so you can practice. So I would say the end of me writing does not exist. Hasn't happened yet. I'm still writing. I'm writing a book currently, like I said earlier. I don't plan on stopping after this book. Right now I do know that there's at least 2 books that I want to write, and one of them is the one that I'm already writing. So after I'm done with this one, more writing. And after that, I'll probably have another book idea. And even if we say worst case scenario, they would never get published ever, I'm still gonna write. Yes, I would love for stuff to get published. I would love for it to do well and I'd love for it to sell well, but that's not the point, really. The point is I like to write and have a story to tell somebody. I love telling stories. That's kind of where me loving to write comes from. I like telling stories. So if worst case scenario happens, nobody reads my book whatsoever, I'm still gonna write because I have a story to tell. And yes, your goal should be for people to read your book, because some people say, what's the point of telling a story if nobody listens? And they're pretty much right, but I'm saying if you like telling stories and nobody listens, you're still doing something that you like. Well, that's going to be the end of this video today. I hope you enjoy. Tell me down in the comments, what is something that you got into at a very young age? It could be sports, art, maybe it was writing. Just let me know down in the comments below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and share this video to anyone you think it would be useful to. Remember, everyone, to stay happy.